Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by BKCW. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined daily by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get those questions in. Of course, we're going to get to as many of those as we can here in just a little bit. We've got a lot to talk about, including we're now only 15 days away, guys. 15 days away from kickoff. So tell us who your favorite number 15 is. And I know normally I don't start the show with a viewer question, but I'm going to today. And it looks like StreamYard is going a little crazy. Anyone else enjoy watching some of those high school games last night? Ask Good Talk Russ. Jerry, I know you did. You liked watching Derrick Cooper in action.
Yeah, we're going to play some clips of Derrick Cooper here to start. He played against West Boca High last night. Both teams were defending state champions in different classifications. This is Derrick Cooper. Not too shabby. We have a thread on OnTexasFootball.com. I actually have the link of the YouTube of this. They had a great production last night. This is a 67-yarder that got called back. Bad hold right there. But you see his long speed. Derrick Cooper looked tremendous last night. Again, West Boca High, 5 D1 guys on that defense at least. 2 defensive linemen, one's committed to Liberty, one 2027 that Texas has offered. A corner that Texas has kind of dabbled with that's committed elsewhere in 26. The other running back in this game was Javian Mallory, who's committed to Miami at West Boca. The 2 best running backs in the state went at it last night. But there you see Derrick Cooper's long speed at 210 pounds, that 700-meter speed. And, I just watched this last night and, again, a little bit this morning. I just thought if there's 122 better prospects in the country, I don't know what to say. And whoever thinks there's 122 better prospects than that can kiss my grits, both sides.
Man, what is going on with StreamYard today?
I don't know. Like if I click, I can't. I'm going to go ahead and say I can't put up comments because when I do, it makes the screen go crazy. So I'm so sorry. I know I normally put everyone's comments up there, but we're going to have to forego that this morning.
Okay. Jerry's point about Derrick Cooper, and we mentioned this yesterday. Texas is all in on Derrick Cooper.
Yeah.
Let's get that out in the open now. Whether somebody else wants to visit, et cetera, it is what it is. But Texas isn't straying at all. They are singularly focused on Derrick Cooper, young man out of Miami. I would add this, Jerry. That touchdown run, according to Derrick Cooper himself, came after he injured had a little bit of a sprained ankle. So that was him on a sprained ankle, running by a defense that has 5 Division I prospects, like you mentioned.
Yeah, West Boca, that's a really good team they played. Chaminade Madonna, I had to say it for the people in the chat. They won the game last night. I think it was like 24-6, something like that. Chaminade Madonna's got some really good football players. They got a junior linebacker, inside backer. I saw last spring when I was there, was a really good football player. His size will be maybe an issue for some people, but he is really good. But that was 2 very talented South Florida teams. West Boca, obviously, up in the Palm Beach County. And then Chaminade Madonna, that's, a little bit west of Hollywood Fort Lauderdale Airport in Hollywood there. But the 2 best running backs in the state going at it. Derrick Cooper looked tremendous. His ability, I thought that first clip, and StreamYard is messing up, but you can go look at my Twitter. CJ's Twitter has that. His ability, the 2 cuts he made, Bobby, on that run at 210 pounds now. So you're an inside runner. You're an outside runner. Oh, by the way, he was also playing linebacker last night in that game. So to be an inside runner and an outside runner and have that type of speed, and again, a frame, he's going to carry 225, 230. Like, he's got room on that frame. He has a chance to be a tremendous football player.
I love him. I think that you got people one of the things that people underappreciate in running backs on the high school level is their size, and their size allows them to translate all the other skill sets they have to the college game. I know that sounds odd, but people, when you have a 200-plus pound tailback in high school that runs 10.7, that's a rarity.
Yeah,
a real rarity, because he's going to probably be able to keep that speed at some level and continue the growth. And I did see those inside runs. There was some violence to those cuts, Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
and some quickness to him. And that's the difference between a guy that slides into the hole and one that pops the you-know-what out of it. Hey, we've got other stuff to talk about today. There's other football games. Jerry, I want to say happy birthday to someone out there.
Yep.
Mine, Sarah O, one of the OGs for On Texas Football. Her birthday today. Happy birthday, Sarah, from all of us here at On Texas Football, as well as the On Texas Football community. You keep the chat lively in the morning here.
I'm going to bring up this super chat because it falls in line with what we're doing before we get to player availability yesterday. Hookem 4L checking in from Canyon, Texas. Where does Derrick Cooper rank among running backs Texas has recruited in the last 8 years?
Well, Bijan is.
I think, and it's no offense to the other guys. I think Cooper and Bijan are two most talented guys in that group, and I think Cedric Baxter probably falls in line after that because Derrick Cooper's just got the speed to go with being an inside runner. And just, I mean, he may be more of a 10-6-5 guy. I mean, at 210 pounds at this point, he's in his senior year now. I think those two guys are ultra talented.
Yeah.
That's something for the backs Texas recruited.
I would say Bijan would remain number one. But to your point, I think he's a little more, and I after listening to Cedric Baxter yesterday, and we'll get to this, the player availability, you appreciate more the intangibles of Cedric Baxter. If you didn't listen to those interviews and didn't appreciate the intangibles before, you would now, in my opinion. So I would say that, but that doesn't mean, to your point, Cedric Baxter didn't necessarily have that long speed. He had the big body lean and big size to run inside, as we talked about. Cooper may have a little bit of both, guys.
Leading into this Baxter comments, I think he may have the best intangibles of any running back Texas has recruited in that 8-year window. I think he's pretty. And again, I was lucky enough to go to Edgewater High School a couple of times and see him and be around him. And I was there when the chips were down in high school. I mean, he had a minor hamstring, and they could have played him, but it was games they were going to win, so they just saved him for the playoff. But I've told the story before. He was in the huddle every single play for a 2-hour practice. He didn't need to do that. He was a 5-star running back committed to Texas. His intangibles and leadership showed up then, and it's carried over. That guy does things that quarterbacks normally do, that Roschon Johnson did. Cedric Baxter's got the same stuff in him. Same stuff.
All right, gotta get to our sponsor of every Friday morning's live stream, if you don't mind. That is our friends over at BKCW. Did you or your business have a frustrating business insurance renewal or employee benefits discussion with your agent? Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase. When this happens, the agent is providing no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW Business Insurance uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year. BKCW has already helped some of the most well-known construction companies, nonprofits, school district, restaurant groups, breweries, you name it, in Central Texas escape the insurance trap. And it all starts with a free risk assessment of your business. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap.
Thank you, Bobby. All right. Well, yes, player availability. Y'all mentioned a second ago. Players met with the media yesterday. We got a couple of clips, and I hope they're going to play. We're going to try this anyway. And listen to Baxter.
One day at a time is the big saying I like to say every day. Just one day at a time. Coach Sark, the training staff, they wouldn't put me in if I wasn't ready to go. So it felt great. I joked with my dad. I was more excited to get tackled and score a touchdown. So not really like a moment. I feel like I put in the work for me to not to have any doubts really. Like I haven't doubted myself at all. I think I put the work in. I mean, I had a year of rehab, so that was the whole point of rehabbing an injury was so that I don't have any doubt or, to get stronger and become better.
Man, what a great sign to see that happen. Hopefully he's able to play 100% against Ohio State. He is still rehabbing. He mentioned that a little bit in that interview as well. The thing that I would tell y'all that I pointed out, and Jerry, it is the intangibles with Cedric Baxter. I mean, what does it say about the young man when he says it felt better when he told his dad about getting tackled than scoring the touchdown? You think maybe he likes football just a little bit?
Well, I've said this before. I'm not sure I've ever covered a running back that wasn't physical out of the state of Florida. Yeah. Those kids don't shy away from contact in that state that play running back. And that's just, the mentalities, I think, is like not that I've had an ACL comeback, right? But talk to people who have. We've had Dr. Brett Robin on this show, right? The mentality is everything in a comeback when it gets close to the contact period. You have to, if you have any hesitation in what you're doing, when you start carrying the football and contact comes, that's when bad things happen, I think. So I'm not surprised that mentally he had the right approach to this. He always has, dating back to when he was 17 in high school. I think that's what makes him who he is. And I said this, I can't remember, maybe on a show last night that we recorded with Jeff and CJ, it'll be published today, is the mentality he has is what enables you to start as a freshman at a school like the University of Texas and come out of spring practice with Steve Sarkisian and Tashard Choice saying, this guy may be our starter. That's a very mature look at football and probably the world a little bit for him. That's a little abnormal. And it's kind of like one of those things when Nick Saban said last year at SEC Media Days on ESPN show, he said he thought he was the best running back they went up against last year. He didn't say the best runner. He said best running back. And why was that? They recruited him. He knew what that kid was all about. It's everything that goes around running the football with Cedric Baxter is what makes him who he is.
Up next, I'm going to play you all some clips of Colin Simmons. Of course, he addresses Ethan Burke, a couple of younger players, and the edge room as a whole.
Ethan Burke looks amazing on every aspect of his game. That's not just Ethan Burke, but that's the whole edge room. I feel like we definitely enhanced our game, our play of game, our details in the little things like the eyes, the IQ of the game. Fall camp, I would like to say, Justice Terry done had an amazing fall camp also. They both done, these last couple practices, they both done stepped up and took that next role in their game.
Good stuff from Colin. Jerry, not surprising to hear Justice Terry and Lance Jackson, but we had Ethan Burke as Steve Sarkisian sent Ethan Burke to the mic last week before last. I can't remember. I was down there and listening to him and asking him questions as well. And Ethan Burke said that his takeaway for this offseason was becoming more of what's the right word? More professional in his approach on a more consistent basis. And that sounds a little like what Colin Simmons is describing for both Burke and others.
Yeah, for sure. And for those that didn't hear what he was talking about, the end of that, he mentioned Lance Jackson, then Justice Terry, both having a really good, I guess, last few days of fall camp. But yeah, look, I think my big takeaway is there's no sophomore slump with Colin Simmons. That's one thing we've never had to have a discussion about. He's really wired the right way. And I think that guy, it's important to him to go be a great player. It's funny how he had talked already about the NFL in the interview. It's like, win, it's like, he's just, there's no sophomore slumps, and that doesn't mean he's looking ahead. He's just trying to go be a top 3 draft pick is what he's trying to be. But I love the overall depth of this. Again, I think I really believe one of the keys to this season in terms of maximizing pass rush, it's Colin Simmons. You know what you're going to, I think Ethan Burke set up for a really good year. You know what you're going to get from Trey Moore, probably a little more in year 2. You know what Anthony Hill can do rushing the passer from the linebacker position. I think you know what you got on the interior a little bit. I think Murad Watson may surprise, but it's the depth. It's Colton Vasek and Zena. What are those guys going to do? If Colton Vasek has a healthy season and he backs up Ethan Burke and he is as good, Bobby, or maybe better as a pass rusher with a power pass rush, maybe. I mean, this Texas pass rush ability goes to Coach Top was like 50 sacks. I mean, you could get up into that 45, 50 range in 12, 13 games. It's not out of the question because there's so much versatility with these guys.
And I think that they'll feed off of one another.
Yeah.
Gary. I put as a spinoff of what we were just talking about with Colin Simmons. One of the things that I think that's undervalued, we were also talking about Ethan Burke, is the value that Colin Simmons brings the other defensive ends in this room in pass rush situations. So whether that's Ethan Burke, whether that's Brad Spence or Colton Vasek or whomever, I mean, it's going to be really hard for a running back to have to chip on the opposite side of Colin Simmons.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not going to be able to. So it's going to put a lot of one-on-ones with Ethan Burke, with Colton Vasek, with Zena, with whomever lines up on that opposite side of Colin. So there's a magnifying effect that Colin Simmons brings to the table.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, up next, let's talk about the scrimmage that takes place tomorrow, fellas. Of course, it'll be their second scrimmage of fall camp. But what, in y'all's opinion, would make the staff happy regarding the outcome tomorrow?
Oh, I think clean play is going to be a big one. And what I mean by that is false starts, no issues with substitutions, no problem, no miscommunication in the secondary. Just clean play. Texas has talent. They need to execute. And so a team that is relatively clean and talented, they're going to win a lot of football games. Now, I'm not saying that Texas coaches expect perfection they probably do expect perfection. They're not necessarily going to get it, right? That's why it's a scrimmage, and it's the second scrimmage and final scrimmage of training camp. But my piece on this and things that I think are important for everyone is, you want a team that's not going to beat itself out of the gate early and then kind of comes into its own. We'll see what happens. No big mistakes in the secondary, no easy scores, no missing filling run lanes on defense, just fundamental football. And then perhaps you see a couple of glimpses of what could be on offense. Tight window throws. Cedric Baxter continues to get healthier. You maybe find depth at receiver a little bit. Those sorts of things would be helpful. I do want to mention this, and I mentioned it this morning on OnTexasFootball, and we haven't talked about it much. Someone asked about the circle of 4 at wide receiver. Right now, it may be more of a circle of 3. Okay, and everybody's going to say, what do you mean? Well, Emmett Mosley has not been practicing much at all the last week and a half. He did not participate in the scrimmage last weekend. He hasn't been going much in practice this week. He's been sidelined with an injury. He was injured this summer a little bit that sidelined him. I think it might be a re-aggravation of that injury. Texas could just be holding him out and being cautious. I don't know the extent of it, but I will say right now, in my opinion, it's not a circle of 4. It's a circle of 3 until Emmett Mosley actually gets back and is healthy. So I would just add that as a team note that we haven't really addressed much in this forum, but I think we need to.
Well, let's jump over to some super chats this morning because we have a few of those coming in. hopefully they play nice. We're going to try here. And just the dude, thank you for your super chat, says someone said Derrick Cooper runs like Adrian Peterson, and I can't unsee it.
It would be nice. It would be really nice if that were the case.
Again, I think Derrick Cooper is a physical, violent runner. I don't think, Adrian Peterson, he had the quickness of a 195-pound back and the speed of almost a sprinter. I think he's one of the more special prospects I've ever seen, period. So I'm not – now, as far as style, I mean, you could go there. Chuba Hubbard, I think, is one that Rod and I kind of leaned on as far as a style and a frame as a runner. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But Adrian Peterson was awfully special athlete at that position.
Adrian Peterson had the size and length of and speed, by the way, of Eric Dickerson, but he was more powerful than Eric Dickerson. I mean, that's what defined him. That's not a knock on Eric Dickerson and how good he was. But I would add this. I think that Derrick Cooper, the person he reminds me of is Willis McGahee. Just a big boulder ball of a bowling ball of a running back that could still cut and then put on the juice to take it all the way. I mean, first round pick, I think, right? Even though he blew out a knee. I mean, tremendous player. I'm a big believer in Derrick Cooper, and last night in those videos, that's proof of it.
Then our next super chat comes from Sean this morning. Thank you, Sean. And there we go. He says, how many offensive lines should Texas portal for 2026? And then also adds Fasusi.
Well, I mean, let me say this on Fasusi and Ryan Foji, because they're two freshmen up at OU. Both of those guys, Blake and Jerry, are expected to play early for OU this year. So I don't know that Fasusi is going to be available via the portal. If he's already playing up at OU, they're going to try to keep him. But Jerry, overall, I know you know this as well as anybody. What is Kyle Flood's thought process behind taking transfer portal OLs?
Well, I think you see what happens the rest of this 26 class. I mean, by the way, Michigan's penalty should be coming out today, right?
Yep.
Malachi Lee's committed to Michigan. See what happens there. But look, if Texas gets another tackle in the high school ranks in this class, a lot of this depends on Kyle Flood prefers to go the high school developmental route. Now, a lot of that's going to depend on what happens in the 26 class, and is Trevor Goosby good enough to go pro and makes a decision to go pro? That's when thinking might shift a little bit, right? Potentially. But let's see what happens this season with that. I think it's a little early on that, because if Trevor Goosby were to come back for another season, and you have Goosby, you have Nick Brooks, and you have Brandon Baker, I mean, what's your true need there? And you have freshman guys coming in, John Turntine, and you have Jaden Chapman, and if you sign another offensive tackle, which I think they will in this class, whoever that is, what's your true need there at that point? I think it really becomes if Trevor Goosby goes pro or not after the season. Otherwise, I mean, I know people want 6 and 7 deep at every position of first round picks, but it's just not happening in the NIL day.
It has thinned out the depth at some level for folks.
Yeah,
I think NIL has. If Goosby goes pro, I have to think that they get at least one tackle, Jerry, because if Nick Brooks and Brandon Baker and Jaden Chapman are your only three that have more than 1 year real experience on the team, I just don't think that's enough. I would be really reticent to go into a season with those three. And if you lose one, now you do ostensibly get Andre Kojo back next year, theoretically, so that could be helpful. But I would venture to guess they might go look for an adult that's not unlike Matthew Caldwell, maybe at quarterback, that's got some starting experience that they won't think is overwhelmed by the situation if called upon.
Well, the whole thing, I think with any portal guys, is somebody okay being a backup?
Yeah.
Very few of those guys actually are. So I think that's kind of where people should temper expectations, because even if Gooseby goes pro and Nick Brooks is what we think he's going to be, and Brandon Baker is what we think he can be, those are going to be your starters. So who are you going to get out of the portal? You're not. These guys that jump in the portal want to go start for the most part.
Yep.
That's the hard thing there.
We have a super chat from Tex Fan, and Tex Fan says the pass rush will be greater if we are great on the back end. If we are tidying coverage, it makes those guys up front so much better. What do you think?
Well, that's why I was waiting for this for my comments on the scrimmage. What I want to come out of the scrimmage Saturday is this scrimmage is going to be like more game situations, coaches on the sidelines, right? There's going to be more on player communication in this scrimmage than ever. This is where I think Texas the staff really assesses and evaluates those guys from an on-field communication standpoint as much as anything, especially in that back end, because I do think that is huge. I think the back end of the defense last year was like a great half-court basketball defensive team. They communicated so well. Everybody had a feel for where everybody was going to be. They had each other's backs, and they played in unison. That's really hard to pull off year after year to that level. I mean, I think that's going to be huge. That's one of the things I'm looking for coming out of the scrimmages. How was communication? Without coaches there and coaches on the sidelines there, pre-snap penalties, whether that's wide receivers not lined up correctly, right? A young wide receiver, whether that's an offensive lineman, pre-snap penalties, whether that on the secondary could be communication, right? That causes somebody to get beat, because last year Texas rarely had a coverage bust, rarely. And Jahdae Barron could make up for it coming across the field if you needed him to, as he did in Colorado State. But that's going to be kind of things I'm looking for, is cleaning it up a little bit, great communication on the back end. I think is key. If Texas has great communication on the back end, their front seven is so good, they have a chance to be as good a defense as we've seen at Texas in a while. But if the communication slips, Bobby, it's a different game this year in the secondary.
I think that the secondary will being tight, or being like when I said a clean scrimmage, that's kind of what I was talking about. No busted coverage, right, Jerry? Nobody getting confused with the motions that Sark puts into the game in the secondary. That's a clean game. You're going to get beat at times. I mean, Texas has good players on both sides. You don't want to get beat mentally. That's like 90% of the battle when you have a team as talented as this. That's what I've been describing, I think. And so I do believe that that matters. I also think that there's some and we've talked all offseason, some truth to the opposite of it, that a good pass rush will help a secondary as well. So I think it's twofold. I do believe that solid coverage on the back end will help the pass rush get home. I think we could see with this pass rush and the people that that Steve Sarkisian has recruited, the guys, I think we're going to see more man coverage on the outside this year than we've maybe seen at Texas in a long, long time. Because you can risk that a little bit if you think you have guys that are going to get home, and make them make quicker decisions while somebody's not in off coverage. That's one of the reasons why I think Jalen Gilbo at corner makes a lot of sense, because he's a guy that's going to try to get in your face.
Yeah.
Compared to an off coverage guy like Kobe Black out of the outset.
And that's how they played last Saturday, by the way. So Brandon Hugh asked this question. Hold on. It's moving. Chat's moving fast. I got to find this. Where was that? He said, does Arch get hit in scrimmages? No. To my understanding, no. Absolutely not. And so again, that'll be the that's always the quarterback adjustment early in the first game of the year.
Okay, Jerry, it's your time to shine. I need you to do us all a favor and tell us about one of your favorite products, Goodr.
It's a great product, man. I mean, you can't break these things. I've tried. I've gotten mad before and just thrown it off the wall. Just see what would happen. I faked anger to see if the Goodrs would stay in one piece, and they did. Stylish Sunnies starting at only $25 a pair, 1 year free warranty, 30-day free returns, lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce, from vibrant colors to sleek styles. There's a pair of Goodrs for every personality, designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much, much more. So that leads you to when would you wear your Goodr Sunnies? On a run, cycling, driving in the Texas heat, DKR, right? Playing pickleball, playing tennis, on a hike, going to the beach, playing, you can even play. I don't play golf, but golf in the Goodrs, I can see that as well. Anywhere the sun's shining, you want these Goodrs on because they're so affordable. You don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every single occasion. If you need a new pair of Sunnies, Goodr is giving OnTexasFootball listeners free shipping. You can go to Goodr.com/OnTexas and use that code OnTexas for free shipping. Goodr offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's Goodr.com/OnTexas and use that code OnTexas for free shipping. Michigan fans, if you don't like what happens to you today and you need to wear the Goodrs, just use that code OnTexas. You'll get free shipping too.
Thank you, Jerry.
Michigan fans even care about what comes down today, guys?
They should, but they probably won't.
Hang the banner, baby.
Yep.
Find out in 2 hours.
Yep. Yeah, hang the banners right, Jerry. I mean, it's like, did OU with Barry Switzer, did they care that, how they got there? Or did they just enjoy the mountaintop?
Yeah.
And I think we all know the answer.
Yeah. Here's the question about the Michigan. What's your expectations for this today? What are you thinking will happen?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, James or some.
Will they have to have an asterisk? Will they have to get the title taken away?
I don't know. Schroeder has to stay out of the game against Kent State, but he's back for OU miraculously.
I wonder. I kind of wonder what's going to happen with this. I'm not sure it's going to be just a slap on the wrist. Here's the thing, though. Nowadays, let's say if somebody really gets hit and you get a 1 year bowl ban. Well, that means you don't get to participate in the playoffs if you're 10-2. So this really, a 1 year bowl ban would have real consequences in a college football playoff system now. That's the one thing you watch for now is if anybody ever gets hit hard, you get a 1 year bowl ban. And you're not missing the Peach Bowl anymore. You're missing the playoffs.
I want to add this. You also get your guys earlier in the portal.
Yeah.
If you don't have a bowl game, your starters, there's no bowl game, starters will go to the portal sooner.
Yeah.
That could be actually an intriguing thought process there, Jerry.
Hey, look, this is so 57 Cal. Preseason ban, postseason ban should be what they actually get for 2 seasons. I'll say this: if it's anything close to that, their recruiting's going to take a hit. It will.
We have a super chat from Ryan this morning. And Ryan says, Vegas makes a lot of money setting win-loss lines, and they set it at 9.5 for Texas. But all of OTF says over. Are we missing something?
I don't think so. I went 10-2. And I think that it's 9-3. Could it be bizarrely 8-4 if Arch gets injured and there are major issues overall? Certainly. But I think that 10-2 is pretty straightforward. I mean, there are about 5 games on this schedule that I think are iffy, and that's Ohio State, Florida, Oklahoma, Georgia, and A&M. You need to go 3-2 in those games, and you're 10-2.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Do I legitimately think that Texas is going to lose to Kentucky? I do not. And I don't care who the quarterback is.
This isn't Kentucky of 5 years ago.
It's not. They don't have as many guys. The coach almost stepped out on them. So my point is, there are 5 games that I think are true. I don't want to say toss-ups, but should be within the 10-point, threshold of a ball bouncing the wrong way, of a big play getting called back, of a sack fumble. And that's Ohio State, Florida, Oklahoma, Georgia, and A&M. Those 5. Now, it doesn't mean Arkansas won't come to Austin and give it everything they've got and then some. But you go 3-2 in those games, you're 10-2.
Hey, I need to bring up something about Lynn Keller. Florida is looking less and less iffy. Have I missed a injury update out of the Gators camp? If I have, chat, let me know on that. I could have missed that.
Well, I think anytime you go to the swamp, you better be ready.
Yeah.
I know Texas has not been there, but historically, that is not an easy place to play.
Yeah. Hey, Brendan Bowersox has a really good follow-up to something I want to bring up, because this is of note for today with Michigan. Where is this? I starred this. This is a really good comment. The last 2 times the NCAA had a press conference, 2017 Louisville had their basketball title stripped, and 2012 Penn State Sandusky penalties could be a big one. Just something to note.
Wow.
So good one. That's a good one, Brendan.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Again, what are they going to say? Nobody won the national championship. It's like they stripped Reggie Bush of his Heisman. 20 years later, they give it back.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, so Freddie's saying the rumor is people think it's going to be a 2-year playoff ban and 1-year bowl ban. If that's the case, Bobby, we can cut a Malachi Lee Boom video probably.
I don't know about that now. I don't know.
I'll throw it out there. That's not what kids want to. Hey, you don't have a chance to go to the playoffs for your first 2 years somewhere.
Yeah.
Makes recruiting a little tougher game.
Yeah, I think that I do think that that'll be, I wouldn't say open season, because Michigan's a good school and they have great history. So they're going to be always going to be a tough team to steal a recruit from, in my opinion. But that would certainly lend itself to the discussion.
So last thing on that before we move on. Should they should get the harshest penalty for this, right? Because there's never been anything like this in college athletics. This is like way beyond anything we've seen. So I know the majority of people, this is going to be a wrist slap. I just don't see that. This went beyond anything. And honestly, we don't know everything about it either. We don't know everything that they know behind the scenes.
Good point.
This is unlike anything we've ever seen in college athletics or that got caught. So I think this is going to be – I think they may get hit. We'll see.
We have a super chat regarding this as well from Jackson. Thank you, Jackson. As always, he says, my prediction, Morris suspended 4 games, Michigan fined $2 million. Athletic department has to take a follow the rules class. Stallions banned. They keep the natty and no bowl or playoff ban.
It's going to be interesting because it's impactful in recruiting. It really is. I mean, one of Texas' top targets is committed to Michigan, and Texas is recruiting him through the whistle. And this can hurt you with those guys, depending on how this goes today for Michigan.
And not to mention potential portal
yes.
prospects. I mean, Texas came in second last year on Nathaniel Martin. I mean, there's just want to put that out there. It could have long-lasting effects if Texas is there to take advantage of it.
We have a super chat from Spank B. Thank you, Spank. He says, the way Wingo and the guys spoke yesterday, Just makes you proud to be a Longhorn fan. Great culture. Hook 'em.
I really did enjoy listening to Ryan. The best answer I thought he gave, okay, and we'll get into a couple of different things he said, but the best one that I liked a lot was he was asked, and this is a piece of it. He was asked if he compares himself to others, to the Jeremiah Smiths, the Ryan Williams, and those kinds of guys, because he's in the same class and et cetera. His thought was, I let the media do that. I'm focused on what I can control. And that's me and how I go about and do my business. And you could tell by the way he said it, it was authentic. It wasn't BS, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people say that, oh, I'm just, and it's real quick and flippant almost. Ryan Wingo's wasn't. He was saying, look, I'm about me.
Yeah.
I can only control what's inside this body, not everybody else.
Well, yeah. My thing for him was his brain was working, because the worst thing he could have done was, not that his brain doesn't work, I'm just saying was working really well. And with that question, so the worst thing he could have done was come out and say, oh yeah, I'm just as good as Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
Now, you go prove it on the field, right? You let your play prove that. You can open yourself up. And his brain was working really well in response to that question. Is you can open yourself up if you answer that the wrong way. And it's not that he's not confident in his ability. That was just a very smart response to me. Like, those guys put serious numbers on the board last year. This is your year to go put serious numbers on the board. Then you ask me that question next year. Maybe that answer is like, I feel I'm just as good as these guys. Let's see where the chips fall. I think it was a very smart answer.
Okay, we have a super chat from Jet. Thank you, Jet Rodriguez. And Jet says, in tomorrow's scrimmage, would you rather the offense dominate or the defense dominate? Which would be better for us? Hook 'em.
A mix. It's the answer. The answer to that, Jet, is a mix. You want the defense to be clean. You want the offense to be clean. You want a little bit of success on both sides. I think that's really, really what you want.
Yeah, it's, for me, the thing that's tough with scrimmages is, like last Saturday, offense was vanilla. There were a lot of people in the stands, parents, whatnot. It was going to be a vanilla offensive scrimmage. So, the tough thing with these scrimmages is, where are you at from a schematical standpoint? What are you really bringing to it? Because if one side gets after it a little more from a scheme standpoint than the other, well, it has a chance to be a little lopsided. I think my take on this is just clean football as possible from scrimmage too, as clean as possible. And if what we hear coming out of this is the staff was really happy with the way the team played in terms of cleaning up mistakes, improving from 1 week to the next, I think that's the best thing I can hear. Somebody's going to get the better of the other. It's not going to be purely even. It just doesn't really work that way. But it's how clean you play that matters to me the most, and that there's no major injuries.
All right, let's see here. I tell you what, Bobby, let's talk about the 3rd and Longhorn OTF tour for a moment. Now seems like a perfect time to do that. For folks that are unaware, why don't you tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually not we call it a tour, but it's more like a preseason party. Jerry, myself, CJ, Jeff, Rod, we're all going to be out there alongside the guys at 3rd and Longhorn at 3 different destinations across the state of Texas. On Tuesday, we'll be in Austin over at Schultz's Beer Garden. On Wednesday, we'll be at a place called the Social Beer Garden in Midtown in Houston. And then in Dallas on Thursday, we'll be at the Happiest Hour. Here is my thought process on this. It is free for all, so please come out and join us and hang out with us. We'll be talking with folks. There is a meet and greet available if you want to get autographs and stuff like that with the former players that you can buy. But actually, it is the whole show and Attendance is absolutely free. So please come on out and join us. Let's have a little preseason Longhorn party. Talk a little Longhorn football with fellow Longhorns.
Yeah, good stuff for sure. And it's as good a time as any to mention that you've restocked the store as well. The OTF shop store is alive and well with new merchandise. You can go to shop.ontexasfootball.com. Bobby's got new hats, new mugs, including a coffee and football mug. Again, shop.ontexasfootball.com. There's also a QR code on your screen. You can just scan that and it'll take you directly to it. But a lot of hot items on that list, Bobby Burton.
Jerry Hamilton won't go away. He wants 2 more of the gray hats, he told us. So he's going to have more gray hats. We're giving CJ the rope hat. He wanted a rope hat, so that's going to be CJ. I like the trucker one myself. But hopefully you guys can, if you're interested, please visit us at shop.ontexasfootball.com.
If any of you double as an Oregon fan, Joe Z has his shop too. It's on Oregon football. He's got some green hats for you too. So if you want any of those.
More super chats to dive into this morning. This one here from Rapid Calm. Rapid Calm says, really enjoyed watching Buford versus Milton last night. There were some dudes on that field, especially on defense. Excited for Diabell on ESPN next Friday. Also want to add, Jerry, before you comment on this, you can watch Tyler Atkinson tonight. It's the Max Preps game of the week, and they're going to be streaming it, so people can check him out.
I did not watch any Buford Milton last night, but look, Buford's D-line may be the best or as good as anybody in high school football this year. I mean, Drake Quinn's he transferred over there from Greater Atlanta Christian, and I think that guy's a lay-down NFL player. If he stays healthy. Bryce Perry-Wright committed to A&M. Obviously, Texas didn't push on him in the end. Really good football player. Those 2 guys on the same high school D-line are one thing, but then they have a couple other D1 guys with them. Buford and good linebackers behind them. I think they opened up their new facility last night too, which Buford has got. That's an unbelievable high school football spot is what it is. For those that have never been over there, great place to be a high school football player at Buford High. An unbelievable youth program all the way up over there.
Georgia is following the Atlanta suburbs are following the Dallas and Houston suburb blueprint.
Yeah.
Really nice football facilities and creature comforts for their teenagers and middle schoolers bring more revenue dollars by people buying homes in that area.
Yeah.
And I think that is the Texas model for expansion in and around DFW and Houston. And Atlanta now is catching on. So Buford, I think it was a $60 million facility put up. So that's interesting. I did catch a little bit of that game, and there were players running all across the field.
Yes.
There were a couple of there was a highlight catch a guy made down the field where the safety peeled back and then undercut the receiver, but the receiver held onto the ball. There's to your point, there were a lot of dudes on that field.
Yeah, and I would say this, Buddy Pal, I'm gonna answer this question in a second, but I would say this about Georgia too. I'm not sure they haven't passed Texas in one regard. I like the padded scrimmage in July. I like that they start now. It starts a little earlier. School starts a little earlier, but I like that that Georgia's kind of taken that next step with it. I really like that scrimmage that I was at in July over there, and I think CJ would say the same thing. I think Georgia's really smart on what they're doing with their summer football. I think it's really, really smart. Has Georgia passed Texas, California, and joined Texas and Florida as the 3rd best high school state? I do think so. I think California has more D1 signees because of population, pure and simple. But I think the population boom in Atlanta metro area over the years. I think the 3 best football states right now. There's not as many prospects that are going to come out of Georgia. It's just a population thing. But I think their high-end guys are – I mean, I said this many times on this channel. Last year they had in that state 20 – it may have ended up being 28, 29, even 30 interior D-line prospects that signed with Power 4 schools. That's an unbelievable number out of any state. But a state of that population, that's an incredible number. Georgia's awfully, awfully talented.
Okay, our next.
Can I say
go
something
ahead.
about that?
Go ahead.
I don't know that it's a race to 3. I think there are 4 states. That would be my comment. It's not so much that Georgia's replaced anybody, it's that they've solidified the top 4 being the top 4. Like, it's not Pennsylvania. That used to be a great state for high school football. It probably still is a great state for high school football. I want to preface that. But Georgia has leapfrogged Ohio and Pennsylvania in that regard.
Yeah.
Because when I first got into this business, Ohio was probably 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Pennsylvania was 4 or 5. Georgia has leapfrogged those states and joined California, Texas, and Florida.
And one follow-up here, living rent-free, I think has something. UGA is loading up a lot of talent from those Atlanta sub. I've said this, doing this nationally when I did for a while, just going around. And I know it's not popular, it hasn't been popular. I actually think Georgia's the best recruiting job in college football and has been since that population boom in the Atlanta suburbs area. Because if you think about where Georgia sits, they have Atlanta an hour and a half, and all those surrounding areas to the west. Then you have the state of Alabama. Those are very physical football players in that state. To the south is Florida. To the east is the Carolinas. I mean, they are located from the depth of talent in NFL per capita. That's the best job as far as recruiting goes, where you're closest to everybody. That is an unbelievable recruiting job. It also makes it difficult because you got to pick the right guys, but that's an unbelievable job.
You also get into the Florida Panhandle and Central Florida,
Yep.
Charlotte, and all of the state of South Carolina. You're within reach. Nashville's 4 hours away.
It's a perfect location.
It's a really good job, and I think Kirby's made the most of it.
Yes, he's
For
won
the
2
most
titles.
part. For the most part, yeah.
Bobby, I need you to tell us about South Point Dodge this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Get to the point with South Point Dodge. Texas football fans, score an easy extra point this season. When you get to the point at South Point Dodge has more than 600 vehicles in stock, including the all-new Ram 25 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in an all-new Ram, proven to last. Plus, you can get employee incentive pricing. That's right. You pay what our employees pay. Now, that's a real deal. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Come see us off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge.
Thank you, Bobby. And let's jump right back into Super Chats because we got a lot more this morning. This one here from Eric76. What team will be Iowa State for the Horns? Pertaining to refs always determining the game, Iowa State was always a referee game in his opinion.
Is it Vanderbilt, Bobby? Because of Pavia one more year, I just have fights and finds a way to keep his team in a game and give him a chance to be there in the fourth quarter somehow, some way, even though it was late. To me, that's probably the one, but that's one more year with Pavia. They're going to have a hard time replacing that dude as a leader. Because they've kind of become the blue collar. They've kind of taken it away from Kentucky with Pavia because Kentucky's not as talented as they were.
Maybe. Defensive-minded coach, too, just like Kentucky was.
Yeah.
Or is. I'll be honest. I think back to the A&M game last year. Texas scored 2 touchdowns that had to go to review.
Yeah.
Texas was not getting the benefit of the doubt in that game. I'll put it that way. Now you take SEC refs, Texas the new guy. I don't know.
All right, Jesse Germany with the super chat. And thank you, Jesse, for your super chat. Says lots of talk this week about what ifs the last 2 years. With all the recent running back injuries, at what point do we look at moving away from turf to reduce the risk as much as possible?
I say all injuries, period. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. Well, I think in 2026, that's going to be he's already said it.
Yeah.
Once the new indoor facility gets built, Chris Del Conte is taking on that project on the interior of DKR. So, Jesse, I think that's the question. I would say this, everybody said, oh, well, grass is automatically better. There have been times where grass wasn't better because grass had been not always well done.
Watered down?
Just all of the things that it could be, right? And so I think that it kind of goes in circles a little bit. Like, okay, now field turf's better. Oh, now grass is better. And then we've got a new field turf that may be better than grass. And then, we improved the grass, drainage system now. And so if you get involved in that, you just need to stick to one or the other, in my opinion. Texas is stuck to the field turf for a while, but now it's such that they think that they need to get back to grass, and they'll do that next year, I think.
And then we have go ahead, Jerry.
My take on the turf is, and I agree with Marcus Myers in the chat, we're not talking about old school AstroTurf, Astrodome, AstroTurf. My take on this is guys are so big, strong, and fast now. They have such strong quad muscles, right? And you see a lot in girls' injuries, but that's a whole Q angle. That's a totally different discussion. We need Todd Wright on here for that, the former Texas basketball strength coach. But you're so strong now. These guys are so big, fast, and strong that the push through the ground, what alleviates that the most for guys is what I'm after. Because there's so much force for these guys are putting in their foot. When they change direction, those ligaments weren't built for the way these guys are now. They're just not. So whatever alleviates that the most is what I'm for on a football field.
And Leandrew 25 with the super chat. Thank you for yours. He says, I know this is a Longhorn channel, but since Bobby predicts a loss in the swamp, what do you guys think the Gators' floor and ceiling record is if Lagway can stay healthy? And I will try to pull up their.
And if Jaden Ball can stay healthy.
Yeah. And Eugene Wilson and Dallas will. I mean, they got to stay healthy. Last year, it was really rough for them.
Are they going to be any better on defense this year? Like, I see them outscoring people. But, I mean, A&M ran up and down the field on them.
Yeah.
Texas ran up and down the field on them. I feel like they're going to score with anybody. That's why I picked, you got to pick, if you're going to end up 10-2, I told you all those 5 games. I had to pick 2. I don't know that unless Florida gets truly better on defense, I don't see them winning 10 games.
My thing with Florida is defensive line. I think their front 4 guys, they're starters. Tyreek Sapp, NFL player. Jamari Lyons, draft pick. Caleb Banks has got some first, second round mocks. George Gums, transfer, good player. I think those guys are really good. I think LJ McCray, sophomore, is a future draft pick. He's got a ton of talent. What are the rest of those guys going to look like for their depth on defensive front? I mean, like a DeAndre Robinson played a little bit last year, transferred out, went to Carolina, right? Do they have the depth they need on the D-line? Now, Florida gets Texas early, so that may not be as much of a conversation as the last 3 or 4 games for Florida. But do they have the depth on their defense in their front 7 truly to make the run that their offense maybe is capable of? That's kind of what I'm watching with Florida. The other thing with Florida for me, that Miami game is really big for them because they got smoked last year. And at that point, I thought Billy Napier, and then after A&M beat him, I was like, he's toast. And then he came back and kept his job. But they need to go win. They need to go win at Miami. That's kind of a flip the tables type of scenario for them. If they lose to Miami, I don't think that's a good sign for them in the SEC.
Boy, their schedule is front loaded though.
Yep. I just don't
LSU, Miami, Texas, A&M. All they got on the back end, in my opinion, is Georgia. Maybe Ole Miss is decent this year if the quarterback comes through.
Yeah.
But I don't expect much from Tennessee, and I certainly don't expect much from Florida State.
The main thing,
front-loaded schedule.
Yeah, if Napier loses at LSU and at Miami back-to-back weeks, people are going to be calling for his job again. And then it gets dicey for their season, right? But what's interesting also about those early games is where are they going to be at health-wise with that team?
Yeah.
I mean, they need Eugene Wilson. They need that. Lagway, if he's healthy, needs all his offensive weapons for games at LSU and at Miami. Hey, by the way, did anybody see that the OC from Miami, Shannon, I can't remember his last name. He used to be at U of H. Thinks Carson Beck could be the number 1 pick in the draft overall.
Oh,
Yeah, good luck with that.
Did anybody see that?
Is he going to be the number 1 pick for the opposing team?
Shannon Dawson.
Shannon Dawson. Good dude. Used to run into him when he was on the road recruiting. I thought that was an interesting comment.
It is interesting. All right, Nathaniel here with the super chat. Going back to Derrick Cooper once again, we've had a lot of questions about him today. Derrick Cooper got a little Fournette in him. Where do they differ?
Go look up Leonard Fournette's senior year in huddle. Let's pull that up. That's actually So here was what I saw with Leonard Fournette in high school, and I have a funny story about him too from when I was at St. Aug seeing Tyrann Mathieu and the guys. And there was this kid walking across the practice field. It was like 20 minutes after practice started. I was like, Coach, dude, one of your guys is like way late for practice. He said, oh, that's my 8th grader. You'll be back for him. I said, what's his name? Leonard Fournette. I didn't even know who it was.
8th grader.
8th grader, dude. I was like, this guy's late for practice. He was like the best looking guy. So let's look at Leonard Fournette as a senior. This is interesting because they do have a little similarity. Cooper has a little more forward lean. They have very similar frames coming out of high school. Very similar frames. Here's Fournette playing linebacker. It's very interesting. I think Cooper has more long speed than Fournette. You know, one thing that showed up in the Under Armour game, and I think it's continued to show up for Fournette in his NFL career. And sometimes you don't see this with running backs until they get in that talent neutralized situation. He was slow to see the cutback lane at the Under Armour in the Under Armour practices in game. And I think that is one of the things that held him back from being as good as maybe a lot of people we all thought he might be. If you don't see the cutback lane with timing, then that's an issue when you get to the highest level as a back. He was still a hell of a player. But Leonard Fournette, that's an interesting. They have a pretty similar build.
It's an interesting highlight tape to start with your running back.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
And those weren't exactly great high school clips.
Yeah.
Of Fournette playing linebacker.
Here he goes at running back a little bit more. It's an interesting look. But see,
Fournette running back, that doesn't even look like him.
That's him.
Yeah,
so for Fournette, even though people think he was all jacked up in the upper body, there was a little similarity to Cooper in that he was strong, but not nearly as jacked as he's gonna be. So it's interesting. Interesting.
Huddle's come a long way.
Yes, Huddle has.
I will say that. You got to remember this from.
We all have, Blake. We all have.
All right, we'll wait for this one run and then I'll kill it.
Yeah. While we're doing that, I'm going to answer this question. We have a hoops question I do want to address real quick. Any chance Texas can land Austin Gooseby and Marcus Spears Jr.? There's a chance. We're talking Austin Gooseby, 5-star prospect in 2026, brother of Trevor Gooseby. He visits Texas officially September 5th. He's at Duke the weekend before. I think Texas, Duke, SMU, BYU are your main 4 there. He already visited SMU. I think those are your main 4. I think he's also visited Miami. But I think they're a long shot. But I think Texas can win that recruitment. Marcus Spears Jr., one of the top guys in 27. I love Dawson Batee in 27 too. But Marcus Spears Jr., obviously his sister's having a great time at Texas. Marcus Spears is a senior, really likes Texas athletics right now. I know. I've heard that from multiple people that know him, that his daughter's having a great time in Austin on the volleyball team. Texas will be in it there. The question is always going to come down to, especially in basketball, how all this shakes out is the NIL and what your ask is. Because high school basketball prospects, I'm not sure in the portal in basketball if they're going to be able to command as much as they thought they were, or they did the last couple of years with the profit sharing. Now, so that may affect where some guys go to school, potentially, for sure.
Makes sense. It makes sense. And I think that it's rare for a freshman to be worth as much as a fourth-year guy in college basketball.
Yep. That's the hard thing.
Yeah, I mean, so I can see and that's not the same as it is in football, because you also in football have to have so many more players, whereas in basketball, the roster is tighter and the rotation is tighter. 3
portal transfers that are really good truly affect. Okay, so I'm going to write something this weekend on Texas basketball. Dalen Swain looks really good. Simeon Wilcher looks really good. Matas looks really good so far. Those are 3 portal guys. They're older players. And the impact on this team, Dalen Swain's going to be a pro. Matas will be a pro on some level. Wilcher will be a pro on some level. I'm not saying NBA. I'm saying that to be determined. Dalen Swain's going to play in the NBA. As long as he continues to, if he improves his jump shot, if he makes 34, 35 from 3, maybe he'll be a first rounder. But those 3 guys look really good. And they were older guys out of the portal. And are in years 2, years 3 in college basketball. That's what makes it tough from a high school basketball recruiting perspective. And then the other thing with basketball, before we get back to football, is one of the things with all this profit sharing is if you're a non-football playing school in basketball, you have a big advantage right now. I mean, I'm talking to Grand Canyons, Wichita States. They have a chance to build real programs right now because they can go NIL. Like Grand Canyon got 3 kids internationally. They're all good. The one guard Texas kind of recruited but never pushed for. But you can really make hay in high school level recruiting and international recruiting if you're a non-football playing basketball school with rev share. It's going to be interesting to see how college basketball kind of weaves its way and what it looks like 3 to 4 years down the line. Texas has a really good coach, by the way. Sean Miller's getting really good reviews.
That's good stuff. All right, we got time for just a couple of more questions this morning. But first, Bobby, one more time, can you tell everyone how to escape the insurance trap?
I sure can, guys. BKCW is the answer. If you own a business and are disappointed with your situation with insurance companies or your agent, make sure that you check out and talk to the guys over at BKCW, because they help take you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs while effectively managing your company's risk. BKCW has already helped some of the most well-known construction companies, restaurant groups, breweries, school districts, etc., in Central Texas escape the insurance trap. And it all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email, info@bkcw.com, to get started with your free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap.
Thank you, Bobby. And we got a couple of super chats that just came in, so I'm going to jump to those. We're going back to Derrick Cooper again from Rhett. Thank you, Rhett. He says, how big do y'all think Cooper will get? 215, 220? Fournette was a little bigger, right?
Fournette may have been 5 pounds bigger and coming out of high school, 5-7 pounds bigger coming out of high school. Not a lot bigger, though. I could see Cooper being 225, 220, 225 range. I think it's going to be good for him.
And then Seth with the super chat says, how is the women's team shaping up? Talking about basketball. Jerry, I can't remember where exactly they're playing, but
they're in Toronto in a
Yeah.
one of those
international deals. I know they played Puerto Rico a couple days ago. I think they played Canada yesterday. But I did talk to somebody yesterday, actually, who said that the early returns are good. I'm still trying to get a little more information, but apparently it's a good sign so far on what this person's seeing.
Yeah.
And then we have a super chat from Rudy. He says last year's Texas defense did very well against mobile quarterbacks, forcing them to be pocket passers. Doesn't that favor them versus Napier?
You know, the analog for Napier is not your typical he's almost a running back as a quarterback. He's not DJ Lagway. He's more of a Diego Pavia. I mean, if you want to know, I mean, now he may be a little bit better passer and he should have better weapons than Diego Pavia has at Vanderbilt, and a better overall offense. But that is who Napier reminds me of at OU. It's not this big drop back guy that can sling it 100 yards. You know, it's more of a hard-nosed grit type guy that has some ability as a thrower. So I think it does help. Texas kept Pavia in the pocket and limited Vanderbilt's offense quite a bit. And I do think that Pete Kwiatkowski is particularly good at that, by the way. But anyways, I think that Texas has done well. It helps when you have Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons and Trey Moore on the field at the same, and Jelani McDonald. These long guys that can really, really run. So I think that's a lot to do with personnel.
And then we have a super chat. Trills, I think you accidentally put it in twice, but thank you regardless. He says, any news on a KJ Edwards flip? Is it possible? Jerry?
The running back Texas wants is Derrick Cooper. Doesn't mean other guys won't try to keep recruitments open, things like the running back Texas wants is Derrick Cooper.
There is anything is possible, right, Jerry? Because we know Texas is, I mean, recruiting is recruiting, so never say never. But to Jerry's point, there is a singular focus right now, and that is Derrick Cooper.
Okay, well, at the beginning of the show, we'll close with this, fellas. I said 15 days away from kickoff, and we had some technical difficulties, so I didn't get to put people's up. But we've had a few, mainly kickers today, but there is another important 15 that may play a role, and that's a true freshman, Bobby.
That's Justice Terry, guys. Yeah, look at his arms on that dude for a freshman. Give me a break.
That's like his worst picture ever. He doesn't look like a Planet Fitness. In that for those in the chat that don't know, I coined him Planet Fitness from his summer workout photos.
There you go. Is that better?
Yeah. Hey,
for an 18-year-old freshman.
If anybody owns a Planet Fitness and doesn't give this guy an NIL deal, I don't know what to tell you.
He is number 15 on this year's team.
3 15s this year.
Who are the other 15s? Trey Owens, obviously, right?
Trey Owens, and then why are you putting me on the spot like that? Wide open, my big mouth. Give me 2 seconds. I will tell you. The other 15 is if they're Will Stone. I couldn't think there.
Okay.
So Justice Terry, Will Stone, and Trey Owens. There's 3 15s and there's 3 18s this year.
Interesting.
I just hope Justice doesn't slip on the oil slick in the garage there. We've all been there. Almost lost our footing in the garage when we were youngsters, just,
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. I want to thank them along with South Point Dodge and Goodr for sponsoring today's show. Don't forget, if you're not a member of OnTexasFootball.com, you can become one very easily, and I'm going to save you a little money if you're a first-time subscriber. Use promo code OTFOG when you sign up. over at OnTexasFootball.com, and you can get a full year for just $39.95. Again, promo code OTFOG, and that's good for new subscribers only. Now, Bobby, as far as YouTube goes, what do you have later today?
We got obviously the show this afternoon is going to be the live stream. Rod Baber's back with us there, as well as others. We're talking a little bit about the scrimmage tomorrow and what we want to see from different players in different parts of it. We thought we'd break that down for you guys. Jerry, CJ, Jeff all got together and really discussed that yesterday. That'll be up later today. And then also just visit us on the message boards. We'll be talking Longhorn sports all day long, as well as recruiting. Starting to heat up a little bit in the 2027 recruiting cycle as well. And see if there's any fallout from the Michigan situation this afternoon.
I'm going to start the thread right now on TexasFootball.com. Jim, join in and with your Michigan probation predictions.
Connor Stallions, Sharon Moore knew nothing.
Look,
Harbaugh knew nothing.
Here's
the
the
question. Our game.
Does Joe Z live close enough to Michigan that we put him on probation too?
This will be, he said, his last live show with us today for a while because school starts next week for his kids, so he won't be able to be on here to harass us. And I told him that's such a shame, Jerry. We're really going to miss him.
Continue. It'll continue.
All right, guys. Well, hope you all have an incredible weekend. I want to say happy birthday once again to Sarah O as well. But yes, everybody have a phenomenal weekend, and we'll be back on Monday morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe.